Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me here. And as was said, we are from GreenWay. And if there is any EV driver from Poland here, probably you will associate us with this quite large and dense network of public chargers. Actually, it's the largest one in Central and Eastern Europe, and the largest one in Poland and Slovakia, where we are doing our business. We have 235 charging stations in our network now, public charging stations, and most of it are driven by our EV drivers from Poland and from Slovakia. We have more than 5,000 customers, which is actually a little bit larger number than number of electric cars in these two countries, because we have as well some foreigners registered in our network. And in the past, they made more than 6 million kilometers on the energy from our charging stations. But this is a surface. I think what is behind is a history of the innovation. In 2015, we made the first nationwide network of charging stations in Slovakia. Then we realized that it's not only about putting the chargers on the ground, but you need to make it intelligent and interconnected in order to provide serious services for a customer. Then we introduced the first paid service. So we were the first one who asked people to pay for the charging. It was a kind of a very strange revolution, because we were hated by many people, but we took it as a very important exercise and very important lessons learned for us, because it's completely clear that it's a service, it needs to be paid. But it's very different if you do it for free and if you start asking money for that. In 2017, we introduced roaming. I will talk about it a little bit later on. It's a part of very important innovation. But basically, with the roaming, you are able to access other network or other charging service providers. Then we built a nationwide network in Poland, and we introduced the paid service in Poland. Being in a business for such a long time, we have the opportunity to compare and to see the changes which are happening. And I have to say that the business now is very different than it was, and it's evolving. And when I was thinking about the presentation today, I think one thing which came to my mind, how to put it in one word or in some phrase, is the Electromobility 2.0. It's not only about the new models, and we have a chance to see them now in an exhibition area, and about more cars on the street, but it's mostly about the thing that this business is becoming more matured. And actually, if I would talk about the charging part of this, so electromobility is a big thing, but I will focus on the thing which we do. And basically, from this business, it's becoming mature and becoming extremely complex. And this is a great opportunity for many people and for many people working in here. So I believe that we should have a look on it closely. Probably I will not be able in such a short period of time to tell you about all the things that are happening, about changing, and what is the trend. So I choose 3 trends which I think are very important and which is shaping this industry, charging industry, in a near future. There are 3 of them. The first one is the integration with energy system. Second is a shift of revenue from oil and gas downstream, so basically from gas stations to the real estate owners. And the third one is the advanced user experience. So let's go one by one. The first, integration with the energy system. I made a very short and brief calculation. So if you imagine that in Europe there will be 3% of electric vehicles, so from the whole fleet we have 250 million cars in Europe, 3% out of it is 7 million. If it would be electric, with an average battery size 35 kilowatt hours and 10 kilowatt hour connection, it is 245 gigawatt hour of storage capacity, and it's about 70 gigawatt of possible regulation capacity. So taking this into account, naturally there needs to be a charging network to connect the car with the energy grid. But taking this into account, this is going to be by far the largest storage and distributed storage of energy which we will have in our energy system, larger than any pump hydro in Norway or whatever you heard about it. I just put here some very comparison just to give you a scale that at the moment the total installed wind capacity in Europe is 170 gigawatts. So really, we are not talking about the small numbers. What needs to be done, and this is a huge opportunity, and what needs to be done, that these electric vehicles need to be very properly integrated into the energy system. And here, I will just very briefly touch 3 principles which I think are important. First, that we need to set up a smart pricing. So it means that we need to have a pricing which will reward the use of the electric vehicle as a kind of a flexibility tool in the energy grid. There's in my view 2 stages. Stage number 1, where we set up especially the structure of network charges in a way that will support the rollout of infrastructure. It's not only for us, not for the companies, but as well for many other players. And second stage in these things, in the smart pricing of the energy which we using in our cars, is to have a real-time pricing which will enable us to benefit the flexibility which we can provide to the grid by, for example, postponing of the charging of electric vehicle. We need to have a smart IT technology for that, because vehicle is primary for driving. You need to drive. That's the most important thing which you need to do with your car. So providing the services to the energy grid is something which you need to understand what's the preferences of the customer. So as long as you do not need to drive, he can provide the electric vehicle as a source of the flexibility into the energy system. But you need to know what is it going to do, what is going to happen, what's the battery stage. Therefore, you need quite a robust IT system to understand and interconnect these things. And the last but not least is smart infrastructure. So it's extremely important that the infrastructure which we are going to build will be smart, so it will enable all these services. And that's the final benefit. So the owner of electric vehicle should have the benefit from providing the flexibility to the grid, or should pay if he decides to charge when it's not good for the grid. Just very briefly, what we do in this respect, this is a battery storage system. So we are combining now in our network not only the chargers for electric vehicles, as well with the batteries. So we are able to better manage all these energy demands in our network of chargers. Shift from revenue from oil and gas and downstream to real estate. This is quite important things which are happening now, and not so many people are realizing that if you look on the business, you have 3 roles basically in charging business. One is the owner of the charger, another one is someone who manages the charger itself, and the last role is someone who provide the access of the customer to the charger. You know, there are companies like us who do these 2 things. We as well own some of the chargers, but the ownership of the charger itself on the technology and is not necessarily have to be linked with some professional company doing business in electromobility like us. The ownership could be separated, and that's exactly what I said. Is what we see is that there is going to be a lot of investment from the real estate owners, mainly shopping malls. You know, someone who owned the block of flats or office building, who decided to invest into the infrastructure. And we, as a company, are able to provide them a service, and we are able to manage the infrastructure which is built. So eventually what happens is that people will not spend the money on the gas station, but will spend the money somewhere else, basically everywhere. And the most big part of this money will go to the owner of the real estate. That's what I call the shift of the revenue stream. So therefore, GreenWay is working with various types of this kind of real estate owners, let's put it this way, including municipalities. They are not owners, but a very important player in this, which we enable them to own a smart infrastructure. They invest, we manage. At the end, you have a smart infrastructure, and then the revenues are shifted from oil and gas. I like oil and gas company, but not so much. Okay, advanced user experience. Here is the last thing, and as I said, this is not going to be the final list of things which are changing in charging business, but this is, I think, extremely important. User experience is never-ending topic. You know, you can talk about it hours and hours, so therefore I pick only one thing, and that's interoperability. Very often we talk that, okay, it's a very big problem if you cannot use the identification tool from one network in another network. And I need to have dozens of cars to travel around Europe. And there are 2 aspects on it. One is the technical aspect of the roaming, so the connection between the various service providers. So we are not bothering you to buy another card somewhere else if you want to drive to, I don't know, Netherlands. And this is only one thing. It's more or less solved by what is called the roaming. And actually, all players in this industry working very hard to make this technically possible. And it's already happening. But what is even beyond that is something more than technically possibility to move with one card around Europe. And this is something which we are introducing now, and we believe this is a very revolutionary concept in this respect. It's just called the roam like at home. You know your mobile phone. If you take your mobile phone anywhere in Europe now, you call based on the plan which you have already established video provider. Regardless if you are in Portugal, you call like in Warsaw. And that's what we want to achieve as well. We want to achieve absolute freedom for our customer. They don't have to care about anything. They just have one registration with one supplier, one provider of the charging services. Shall it be GreenWay? We would be very happy. And then can forget everything. Just travel and use the one identification tool. Don't have to worry about a technical issue, if I will be able or I will not be able to charge. And in the same time, we don't have to worry about how much it's going to cost. It's something which I subscribe with my provider, and that's it. So I give you a very, very quick flashlight into what's happening in our industry, what are changes. I believe there are many of them, which I was not able to mention in 10 minutes. But if you catch me somewhere, very happy to discuss further. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well done. Thank you, thank you.